Toss, turn, traversing with a gray-coated lens, malnourished with narcissism to boost the ego. A grade A supply triangulated in narcolepsy, received from the transmitter of the inner world. The lucid hand's hunger for the invisible that slips away. Tick-tock, tick-tock, another day of the decaying future. An awakened nightmare activates the sleeper from within. The mass multiplication of the nucleus suddenly erupts, a shock to the hemorrhage dreamer. Discoloration of the ruby lens permanently stares into the abyss of eternal darkness. In the purgatory of dreams, scribed by the visions of the humility, blinds the narcissistic dreamer. The death of a dreamer. I'm in this space of being and resting, but I'm going through my own emotional roller coaster, and I took a gram to clear the pipelines. I'm going through my thoughts, and I'm like, you know what? Since I'm already down, why don't I drag my ego to hell? I'm going to let my ego die so I can absorb my truths of who the fuck I am, because I had to remind myself that, like, bitch, who the fuck are you? Him, her, the universe. That's who I am. I got stuck. I got really fucking stuck in this state, the status of being in my body. I don't know if it's a universal thing for those who are into the metaphysics, but I need grounding so I can climb back to the top. With part of grounding, I need to learn how to rest to understand myself. I didn't know what to do. Like, everywhere, it just felt like kept turning, and it just feels like I'm being taught to go back to your corner, go back to the center with a pitchfork. And I'm fasting today too, so it's just really coming into my full self. In Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, she writes, in order to have a real relationship with our creativity, we must take the time and care to cultivate it. Our creativity will use this time to confront us, to confide in us, to bond with us, and to plan. Who is Essence? You have your ideas, you know what you want to talk about, but I have to experience the emotional roller coasters. I even thought about the downsides of the inner child, the downsides of reliving or trying to heal your inner child is you have to go through the trauma, make sure the trauma's not you, and just let things process. This is why we are to have our minds preoccupied so much. Because the silence, yes, can be appreciative, but are you accountable? Are you willing to face yourself? You know, when thoughts come about, how do you handle those thoughts? Am I content with how I am? Now, honestly, that answer is yes. Even though I don't like the roller coaster, it still put me in a question of with how you are, how you're learning, how you're evolving, even with engagement on social media. Are you okay with that? And I am. Because I have to detach. If I'm so attached with everything that's going on in this world, or like my fears or like my thoughts, like it's just going to bring me down a rabbit hole, and then I'm gonna have to fight that fucking rabbit hole. Comparison in a good way, you have to make sure that you're not questioning who you are and what you do when you are comparing yourself to someone that may be a contemporary in your world, in your field. So I had to go through that again. And also reminding me of who I am. I had to go back in my old videos, at least from the past few weeks, to not get lost in someone else's realm, and making sure my comparative notes are ideas that can probably up your world, your realm, my realm. You know, maybe it's a different camera angle, or maybe putting my camera on something else, like things that will constructively help my videos, you know, for example, or a way to start poetry again. That shit is hard, but I feel like I'm in a space where I'm being forced to rest because I feel burnt out. How am I able to share these things without being an emotional wreck on camera? Come in and film when I'm ready. Memento Mori is also an exercise for recognizing that the things you often worry about and mistakes you've made when seen through a long time frame seem insignificant. Marcus Aurelius gives a powerful example of this, writing, "Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. They were absorbed alike into the life force of the world, or dissolved alike into atoms. At the end of the day, whether someone achieves greatness or remains unknown, everyone arrives at the same end." I have to experience my psychosis. Very loosely, I'm using that term. But I have to experience my psychosis to understand. And that's where the inspiration comes from. I also had to remember that some of the greatest painters, some of the greatest artists weren't even known or didn't have the notoriety until post-mortem. And I'm not wishing it on myself, no. I'm just letting my ego die today. I'm just letting my ego die today. But, you know, I still want to be here and shit. I still want to experience life. I'm using that in a figurative sense, that the greatest works really show, or the greats happen sometimes when death is involved some way, somehow. It's very cloudy outside, so it feels like it's a mirror of what I'm going through right now.
Get started. We're going to start with some cat-cow in a seated position.
Okay, I made content. Now I'm gonna rest and experience myself without filming for the rest of the day. Because that's the theme, is to rest. Artists should rest. And I'm not gonna say everyone should experience an ego death, because ego death can come in many forms, which also includes injury. Anything that prevents you from doing your daily activities, your daily rituals, can be a death to the ego. Not necessarily psychedelics, which that for the most part, especially the new agey people, defines that as what it is. But I'm going to rest. And I don't regret it. So, peace out, niggas.